Hi, everybody. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Scott Cushing, and I have the privilege of acting as the current chair of the Board of Elders at Sheridan Park Alliance Church. During our time of transition in the past couple of years, the Board of Elders has acknowledged that where we are as a church is not where we want to be, and it's not where God wants us to be. Over the past 20 years, we have seen a consistent decline in church attendance, in total giving, and in baptisms. And for the sake of those who don't yet know Jesus, and for the sake of His kingdom, we need to reverse that trend. October 1st, 2017 will mark the 50th anniversary of the gathering for worship of a group of Christ followers who would ultimately become Sheridan Park Alliance Church. When we reach milestone anniversaries like this, and like the recently celebrated 150th anniversary of this great country of Canada, we have the opportunity to do two things. First of all, we give thanks and celebrate the past. But more importantly, we sharpen our focus, recharge our course, and plan for the future. As a church, we currently have a unique opportunity to change our course and shift our momentum. We have a fresh new mission to connect young families to Christ. We've just come through a successful transition process to position us for the future. We have a new lead pastor in the person of Keith Paquette. We have an upcoming 50th anniversary, and there is a collective desire to change and a hope for the future. Over the past weeks and months, God has been speaking to us through the Old Testament metaphor of God's people taking the promised land. When the Israelites focused on the hurdles and the barriers and shrunk back in fear, they were forced to wander aimlessly in the desert. But when they acted in faith, they experienced victory and blessing. For us, the promised land is the mission that God is calling us to take possession of. Like the Israelites, taking this promised land will come with obstacles and challenges. In fact, in many ways, the odds seem stacked against us. But God has promised to be with us. Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Will we take God at His word and trust that He will be with us as we step out to courageously do what He has commanded us to do? Our mission is to connect young families to Christ. Right now, accomplishing this vision is difficult, because our church is not very inviting or accessible to young families. In order to accomplish our mission, we need to change that. And we can't really afford to wait any longer. We're at a point as a church where minor tweaks just won't cut it. If we're going to stop our downward spiral, we need to make significant changes, and we need to start making them now. But that is going to require us to have bold faith, and it's going to require us to take big risks. Today I want to present to you a short-term plan that we believe will shift our direction and position us to fulfill our mission of connecting young families to Christ. While the implementation of this plan is intended to occur over a fairly short period of time, many of the components of the plan have been discussed by the Board of Elders during our transition period. In fact, many of the changes associated with the plan have already started. Now that we have a lead pastor to help us implement these changes, the time is now right for us to boldly continue forward. As I've already mentioned, our church will be turning 50 years old in October this year. This represents a huge opportunity for us to implement many of the planned changes towards culmination in a single big day on which we can celebrate a relaunch of our church, moving from who we were to who we are now and who we will be going forward. Changes that are part of that plan will be both big and small. Some of the most visible changes will include recalibrating our church focus to young families outside of the church. A new church name, based on feedback received from our recent annual meeting, we'll be changing the name of the church. Stay tuned for more on that to come soon. Our revamped church website, replacing old carpet and pews with fresh carpet and modern chairs, providing a facelift to the church foyer and sanctuary. Implementing these changes will require significant resources over a short period of time, both financial and non-financial. On the financial side, the Board of Elders recently approved the investment of up to $60,000 to implement this plan. Because of your faithful and consistent giving over the past several years, we have built up a surplus of approximately $94,000 that's not currently earmarked for any other purpose. We believe that now is the time to begin investing some of those funds towards fulfilling our mission. So what are we asking of you as we embark on this plan? First and foremost, we ask you to pray. We must all give ourselves to increase prayer and fasting if we are to accomplish what God has called us to do. Secondly, I ask you to consider what God is calling you to give financially towards our mission. In addition to these one-time costs, it's vital that we continue to be able to meet our ongoing regular financial commitments for the day-to-day operation of our church. And finally, I ask you to consider how you may serve to help us implement this plan. No one person or group of people will be able to do this on their own. It will require all of us. In order for us to fulfill God's mission for us here at Sheridan Park, we need every one of you. So if you have questions, please feel free to speak to one of the elders or to Keith. Over the next few months, the elders plan to meet with those who are interested in discussing things further. I am truly excited about what God will do through us in our next 50 years. Please join with us in our mission to connect young families to Christ.